In this episode, I'm going to talk to you a bit about this car. Obviously, this is something new for me. It's new to a lot of people, I'm sure, but it definitely had a very different life over the time that I've owned it. So it was imported in 2010 by the previous owner, and I actually bought it in 2012. It had a veal-side body kit. It was non-turbo because I was on my P's and I wasn't allowed to have a turbo Supra. Still a fun car for what it was, but it wasn't a turbo Supra. It's a 1995 white SZR. So it came with a vinyl roof lining, vinyl rear seats, Bilstein suspension, or Bilstein, however you want to say it, AO1B LSD, and W58 manual. It also had the standard black and yellow number plates on it with big letters. That was disgusting. It was the worst part about the car. If you have them on your car, change them. They're disgusting. Get rid of it as soon as you can. I spent most of my time running through Royal National Park when I bought the car, and it was a whole lot of fun. Everyone's got the same thought, thinking that no one can beat them through Nasho. But looking back, I realized that was pretty risky. It's definitely better to do it on a track. In 2014, that is when I got off my piece, got my full license, and straight away bought a 2JZ GTE. So I wanted it to just be simple, bolt in, not think about any conversion parts, and got some friends together after we finished servicing it, and within a weekend we had it up and running. Brought it in Friday night, Sunday night it was running, Monday it was back at work. So thank you to those friends, they know who they are. In 2015 I was involved in a little bit of a crash, my fault, my bad. You live and you learn. Got a little bit too happy with it and stuffed up. It's as simple as that. Dad, being a panel beater, was able to bring it back to life, so to speak. Recovered it, we moved forward, and I was itching to do track days. And especially after having done Nasho so many times, I wanted something a little bit different, something a little bit more, something timed. So we had something to go off and learn how to be better. And the first track day that we ever went to was me and my mate in his Evo. We went to a track day club organised today at Wakefield Park, and the track bug hit real hard. From then I became obsessed with beating my time and thinking I needed to see what this car could do. On that first track day though, I realised I'm not as good a driver as I think. When you actually go out there and stuff is timed, and you realize how many mistakes you're making, and you learn off people who have done it for longer, you start to appreciate more why it's so dangerous to be doing it out on the street. Now, after that first track day, I realized that I couldn't replicate and have as much fun out on the street. 2016 was the first time that I went to Sydney Motorsport Park. Now, to go there, I knew that it was going to be a faster track. I knew that it was going to be a little bit more dangerous, so I wanted a little bit more security in the brakes. So I upgraded from the standard small Supra brakes to the big brakes, just so that I didn't experience any brake fade or any failures. And which I didn't. The car ran beautifully. I also did the Ringwood Hill Climb, something a little bit different to the track days that we were used to. Everyone knows that this car literally lived on the track, and it was daily. The rule was the car drives to the track, gets thrashed the whole day, and then goes home on its own power. Never brought a trailer, only brought spares, but I never bought a trailer, and I never planned for it to fail because it was doing fine. Even though it was turbo and it had the W58 gearbox, I was like, no, it's gonna be okay. One track day though, in 2016 we did at Wakefield. Me and my friend shared the car, and we had it running 3 sessions on, 1 session off. So it was basically 40 minutes non-stop, 20 minutes off, or something to that effect. So on the very last session, on the end of the day, all we could hear was the rattling of metal, like we were nearly done. Anyway, the next day, Will came with a Range Rover, and we chucked the car on the trailer and brought it home. From then, I got another W58 and kept racing. In 2017, I entered Newlawn Nationals with the New South Wales Super Club, and I was involved in the Motorcana, the Time Attack at Sydney Motorsport Park GP circuit, and in the Bathurst Hill Climb. So when I went out for my first run in the Motorcana, I had Michelle jump in and try and show me the ropes. She's a little bit more experienced with drifting and Motorcanas. That was great to have her there. Unfortunately, I wasn't really listening to her very much, and I thought I can do it myself. and I stuffed up the whole first session, but after listening to a little bit of her advice, I was able to actually get the hang of it pretty quickly. Responsibilities do take over sometimes, so between the end of 2017 and 2019 I really didn't do much with the car. It was just an everyday street car. However, I got introduced to this event called Challenge Bathurst in 2019, so I entered that and I thought, alright, cool, so how are we going to do this? I replaced the W58, so I didn't want my weekend ruined by cheaping out on a gearbox. So I finally got myself to upgrade to an R154, got it to Wakefield, another track day, club day, and tested out, had to tease out some issues, make sure everything was working. The car had this random issue with cutting out at that time, which came out of nowhere, and it was running a bit hot. So the vented bonnet really did help and basically save that, with 3 weeks to go to Bathurst. Now, at the time, I had Airborne Studio come on board as a sponsor, and we stickered the whole car up, and the car performed flawlessly for 2 days. Couldn't get it hot, couldn't get it to brake fade, couldn't do anything. And I'm not complaining, the car was perfect. Hands down, best track ever, and I can't wait to do it again. The responsibilities did kick in again, so 2019 was a little bit of a teaser back into racing, but I couldn't maintain it at that time. However, what I did do was finally get onto my single turbo conversion about 10 years into the ownership of this car. So it now runs a Garrett GTW 3884R, Walbro 460 fuel pump, 1000cc injectors, Turbo Smart fuel pressure regulator, a Link G4X, BC valve springs and titanium retainers. Fully custom exhaust. All fab work was done by Ben from Artec Performance. We met him 2 episodes ago at the drags running his Evo that he's doing some testing with. From there, it was still a year before I got the car tuned. It was running on the factory ECU for about a year. It was tuned by Peyton from Unique Automotive, also known as Uncle, which we will meet eventually. I haven't raced it since it's been tuned. I've done one roll racing night, and that was fun, but I haven't actually raced it to see times or anything. I haven't seen if the car is fully ready to be circuit raced yet, but it will be getting back onto that after this. When I do get back from this trip, before I go into any form of circuit racing, I have bought drag radials, and I will be going to the drags to see what number this runs. I'm very curious to see A, if the R154 is going to hold up, B, if the tail shaft and the diff are going to hold up, and if they do, and I can send it hard enough, I would like to see what time I can get. I would like to put a number to the power figure, and ideally, if I was to pick a number I'd want to run, I would love to see an 11. High 11 would be amazing. Low 12 would be amazing. If I see a 13, I don't want to run a 13. In 2022, I got back into a little bit of having fun with the car, where I went to Beat the Blue, and it competed in the Motorcana there against the Highway Patrol, and that was great fun. On my one run against the Highway Patrol, I got a little bit too excited. I wanted to give the crowd one last limiter bash, and I did it that little bit too early, and it turned to the back a little too much, and the car spun. So call it an excuse if you will, but I did have fun. I just stuffed up that last corner. If you've been watching my videos up until now, you'll know that I've taken a completely different approach to anything I've ever done, and anything that I think that most people have done with these cars. And I wanted to do a road trip for as long as I've had the car. Basically what this is part of one of the very many things I wanted to do with a Supra as soon as I owned one. So I decided for my 30th birthday, which was last week, instead of hiring out a function room and spending 10 grand to have 6 hours of fun, get drunk and feel sick the next day, I figured that why don't we apply this to the car and go on a trip to go make some memories. But that's why the car is like this. And I wouldn't have bothered with the all-terrain tires or all these extra random little things, but because I wanted to make it a little bit more fun, I've decided that we're going to be going along the Udnadatta track. We've set that up over 2 days, taking it pretty chill. It's a 617 kilometer dirt road. It's something you're typically supposed to do in a 4-wheel drive, and there's not going to be anyone there. So it's just going to be us. There might be a few people going other directions, I don't know, but apparently it's pretty empty, and it's going to be an adventure for the 3 of us. So I'm not going alone, I'm going with my wife and cousin Jansen. Jansen has a touring setup rig, his Colorado. So if anything is to go wrong with my car, we do have a backup, a way to carry it through whatever issue we may experience. I'm only worried about the desert section. That's the more intense section. I've got a few contingencies in place for things to go wrong. Once we get off the dirt track, it should be pretty easy, providing we don't hit an animal. Wildlife is the next intimidating thing, but aside from that, I'm not concerned at all. So many people worry about the value of the car. Things can be replaced, but the memories you make in your life can't be. I'm not here to destroy my car for fun. I love this thing. Motocana, drift, hill climb, circuit race, everyday drive, drag race, roll race, everything. Everything. This car doesn't stop, and it's a great car. Stay tuned.